Hello everyone. Today we are here for our week 2 match of the Greatest Showdown. So, last week, if you saw last week, we started off with an L, unfortunately. However, I did say that we would make some transactions that I think would help improve the team for us going forward. So, before we dive into this matchup and to the week 2 battle, we're going to cover over these transactions. So, let's just get started, alright? First off, we ended up dropping Glamora, Mesprit, Quagsire, Hisuian Samurott, and I believe those were the four for new additions of Azu, Quillfish, Gallade, and Terra Driftblim. So, what are the reasons behind some of these drops? One thing I noticed with my team from week 1 is that I felt as though I didn't really have enough win cons really taking advantage of my Veil. And really the idea behind my team as a whole is really to facilitate bulky offense that can take advantage of Ninetales Veil. So I really wanted some more setup threats that I thought could be useful for that strategy. So Azu was definitely one of the ones that I was looking towards picking up. I felt that Azu with belly drum access and being a really fat mon that's versatile and what it can do offensively and defensively fit very nicely. That was one of the reasons why I picked up Azu. I ended up picking up Quillfish as a grounded poison, as well as to replace the spikes that I was losing with Glamora and Hisuian Samurott. I also felt that having the diversity of bulky water would help my team as well. And then we ended up picking up Gallade because I really wanted a mon that could take on fighting types, but not be weak to ice like some of my other mons that resist fighting. As well as I wanted another setup potential threat that was very scary for my opponents breaking wise. So I thought Gallade, with how strong it is with sharpness, would be a great addition. And then lastly, we picked up Driftblim. Just because I thought that while Dragapult is definitely a great ghost type, it may not be always the best choice to be a defensive ghost type to block rapid spin, which I think is definitely really very needed for a hazard setting team in Gen 9. And so I really like Driftblim. I've had the opportunity to use it a lot as of late, and specifically Terra Driftblim I think is very much a monster and has a lot of potential to be a low-key sweeper versus team. So happy with the Driftblim pick and happy with our transactions overall. So let's just start going into this week 2 matchup. All right, so you all know the updated team, and let's look at our opponent's team. So week 2 we are facing A12, coach of the Arkham City Delibirds. So A12 has a pretty scary team, but also a team that is, to me, very top heavy. He has some very key threats, but as well as a lot of filler. And I think that made it a little bit easier to prep for, just because I kind of knew which mods would be coming and which wouldn't be. But anyways, let's just run through all the mods that he has on his team. Starting off, we have Urshifu Single being his Terra Captain. We have Palafin, Cinderace, Zoroark Hisui, Pheasantipity, Gliscor, Cyclizar, Aloe, Meowstic, Wigglytuff, Seviper, and then a Terra Executor. So looking at A12's team compared to mine, one threat that I definitely noticed was Terra Fairy, Bulk Up, Urshifu Single Strike. That mon was very scary for my team to deal with, just because with Urshifu's natural bulk and the fairy typing, he could definitely make it so that it'd be very hard for me to revenge kill if he got up some bulk ups, as well as the fact that fairy allows him to stay resistant to King Gamut's Sucker Punch even when he terras. Another threat that I was looking at was the likes of Swords and Cinderace with things like Sucker Punch and Power Ball and Gunk Shot, all that stuff. And then really, other than that, most of the things on his team are pretty checkable. However, of course, you always have to be aware of having mons that can kill Gliscor and not letting it get up spikes and rocks for free, which are very much a threat versus my team, just because of my very limited hazard removal. Really, other than that, I kind of just predicted for him to bring Urshifu Single Strike, Palafin, Cinderace. I thought Pheasantipity would come as a soul check to Dragapult. I thought it had a nice role there. And then I think Gliscor and Cyclizar were pretty likely as well. So that's kind of what I was expecting from A12. So we'll just dive into the team that we ended up bringing for him. So just starting off, we're starting with our Dragapult, rocking the heavy duty boots with the moves of Draco, Meteor, Hex, U-Turn, and Will-O-Wisp. So the idea behind this set was that Dragapult in general is just so threatening versus his team. He really has no switch-ins to it that are great other than Pheasantipity. However, Pheasantipity is pretty weak and can't really do much to my team as a whole. Like, it's honestly has a bad matchup other than checking Dragapult. So I wasn't really too worried about it. I knew that with the combination of Willow and Hex, I'd be able to break past it if I really needed to, but otherwise I could just U-turn out and bring in another one of my threats to pressure it. So other than that, Dragapult is really filling a role here of being a revenge killer and a mon that can clean up late game. With Will-O-Wisp, I'm able to avoid something like Sucker Punch from Urshifu and cripple it, as well as my natural typing of Dragon Ghost. I can resist boosted Jet Punch from Palafin, which is very, very key. Other than that, he has no mon that naturally outspeeds Dragapult, forcing a Scarfer that would have to revenge kill me. So Dragapult here is just very, very nice, a very solid revenge killer. My EVs were specifically so that I would live a Shadow Ball from Choice Scarf Zoroark, just because of course Hisuian Zoroark is always going to be very annoying just because you don't know which Pokemon it's disguised as. So I thought having my Dragapult always being guaranteed to live a Scarf Shadow Ball was just very, very crucial. So next up, we're bringing King Gambit, Terra Water with leftovers, rocking Iron Head, Sucker Punch, Facade, Swords Dance. So just looking at my EV spread, we're running a ton of HP and a ton of defense with the Adamant Nature. So the idea behind this was I knew I definitely wanted King Gambit to be one of my win cons here. Terra Water King Gambit is just really hard for him to kill. A lot of his mons don't really deal with bulky waters that well. And specifically when it comes to Palafin and Cinderace, I can make them my setup targets by rocking the Terra Water. On moveset with King Gambit, I was debating it a lot just because I really wanted to have Kowtow Cleave on this set, just to help me break past Gliscor and Palafin a little bit better. However, I settled on Facade as one of my last moves just because if he did decide to bring that Alamomola, I wanted to not be forced out by it clicking Scald and me clicking SD. I in fact wanted to use it as another setup candidate because if he decided to use Aloe to check King Gambit, I could continuously set up SDs as he went for Scald, and then if he did get that burn on me, I could then click Facade and break past Aloe as well as threaten the rest of his team. So that's kind of why we settled on Facade. The rest is sort of self-explanatory, but really just these defense EVs just allow us to eat hits from a ton of his mons just because majority of his team is pretty physically based. Next up, we're bringing Ice Cube. Ice Cube with the Rocky Helmet, rocking Freeze Dry, Flip Turn, Hydro Pump, and Snowscape. So if anybody doesn't know about Ice Cube is a low-key demon, alright? If you want to see more of Ice Cube showcases, I recommend just checking out my boy Amel. He has amazing gameplay of Ice Cube in action, but it's actually from him that I got the idea of drafting Ice Cube and using it in this way. So Ice Cube, for you all who don't know, has the ability Ice Face, which makes it so that any physical hit that Ice Cube takes, it takes no damage, but instead transforms into a faster version of itself. With that, it's able to then click Snowscape and turn back into the form that takes no damage from taking physical hits. So the reason why I wanted Ice Cube here was because with Terra Urshifu, it's really hard to determine which exact Terra he may be. And I really just wanted to have some way of blanket checking it without using a crucial piece like Azu to check Urshifu and then him turn out to be Terra Poison or Terra Electric and blow past my Azu. So we settled on Ice Cube here. Really just being because it outspeeds the entirety of the team with its base 130 speed when it transforms into the other Ice Cube form, as well as the fact that it makes it so that we have another pressure on Gliscor. It's a defensive piece that can check the likes of Urshifu and Palafin and Cinderace, while not also giving Gliscor the opportunity to get up hazards versus me, which I thought was very, very crucial. Freeze Dry, pressuring the likes of Gliscor, Palafin, and then Flip Turn for momentum, and then we're rocking Hydro Pump to get a KO on Cinderace if it's taking some chip. But yeah, Ice Cube I thought was just very, very nice here with what it could do, and giving me a check to one of his top threats of Terashifu. Next up, we have Quillfish with the Citrus Berry, rocking pretty much mainly Spadef with a relaxed nature and a couple EVs in defense, with the moves of Gunk Shot, Ice Beam, Thunder Wave, and Spikes. So the idea behind this was I wanted a mon that could just check Palafin, Cinderace, without having to tear my King Gambit, and Quillfish really just filled that role very, very nicely. Spikes look very, very good versus his team in general because the majority of it is grounded, and with Ice Beam we're able to threaten a 2 KO on Gliscor, especially because he can't roost in this gen and remove his flying typing, so Ice Beam is very threatening versus him. Other than that, Quillfish is just really doing normal Quillfish things here. Citrus Berry and my Spadef is going to allow me to take 2 Boom Bursts from Palafin if he decided to go special, and it also allows me to take 2 Hyper Voices from Zoroark as well. But yeah, that's Quillfish here. And then next up we have Azu with the Citrus Berry, rocking Play Rough, Aqua Jet, Liquidation, and Belly Drum. So my Azu here, I really wanted to use as one of my sort of general checks to his team, just because, like I mentioned earlier, Hisuian Zoroark is very annoying, especially if he disguised it as the Urshifu Single Strike. And so in the case of he decided to disguise Hisuian Zoroark as Cinderace or Palafin or Urshifu Single Strike, I could use Azu as one of my sort of general switch-ins, and that way I could, with my bulk, the special defensive bulk that I have plus the Citrus Berry, I'd be able to take that hit if it was Zoroark, and take the 2 Hyper Voices that may come my way, while also checking the likes of his top 3 if they weren't Hisuian Zoroark. So not only that, Belly Drum Azu is just a very, very great setup threat here if I'm able to get it off. His only real answer to Jet at +6 being Palafin, which can't really touch Azu that well, and then Cyclizar, which Cyclizar can eat Jet, but he needs a lot of defense, a lot of bulk on his side in order to live Jet comfortably, and then also him having to rely on Power Whip hitting. So yeah, I thought Azu was just super, super solid here. Very, very threatening to his team. And then lastly, we're bringing Thunderous T, rocking Thunderbolt, Psychic, Nasty Plot, Taunt. The idea behind this bring here was I wanted a mon that could kill a bulk up Palafin, just because bulk up Palafin is pretty annoying for my team, especially if he's like a subset with, like, let's say Jet Punch, Drain Punch, sub bulk up. Even though Dragapult would be able to check a set like that pretty well, if he decided to slide an Ice Punch over Drain Punch, or my Dragapult had taken some major chip, it'd be really hard for me to kill Palafin just because of its bulk, the access to lefties, all that. So I really like Thunderous because it naturally outspeeds max speed Palafin, and with boots and my defense investment, I'm able to live, I believe it was a +1 Jet Punch. I believe it was a +1 Jet Punch that I could live from full. It was either a +1 or a +2 Jet Punch. I'm not entirely sure. However, with these moves of T-Bolt, Psychic, Nasty Plot, Taunt, we make it so that we're able to threaten the entirety of his team, either super effectively or for neutral damage. And Taunt is basically thrown on there just so that if he does utilize Gliscor to switch into Thunderous, I'm not giving him the opportunity to get up Spikes and Rocks for free in the case of I'm not already boosted with Nasty Plot. So that's kind of why I like Thundy T here as my last mon. I thought that it filled a role that, you know, kind of patched up some of my weaknesses to this team. So yeah, that's going to be the team that we're bringing for A12. Next, we'll just look directly at the match that happened. So as we can see, From A12 side, he ended up deciding to bring Executor, Urshifu Single Strike, Palafin, Fezandipity, Cinderace, and Gliscor. So my first thoughts looking at this matchup was, why is Executor here? Because I'm telling you right now, when I saw Executor pop up, I was like, dang, bro, what does this mon do? I'm not familiar with Executor whatsoever, especially not in Gen 9. I think the last time I've ever seen an Executor ever was maybe back in like Gen 7. So I honestly had no idea if it had like some type of new tools, some type of new moves, whatever added to his roster. So the fact that it's also his Terra Captain kind of made it a little bit scary. But yeah, I guess the likes of Nohosui and Zoroark though definitely made this matchup on paper a little bit easier for me to manage. So yeah, we're just gonna hop right into the beginning of this match. So from the side, it's a little bit hard to tell, but A12's Terra Captains were both Terra Grass. So Executor was Terra Grass and Urshifu Single Strike was Terra Grass. So we decided to lead off with Quillfish here. I thought it was my best lead just to get off some spikes versus potential lead Palafin to get off his 0 to hero form, or a Cinderace or Gliscor or whatever. As he decides to leave Urshifu. So here I'm like, okay, this is pretty advantageous for me. If he decided to go for Wicked Blow, that's fine. I can go to my Ice Cube after. But he also shouldn't be risking me clicking T-Wave versus him. So I do decide to click T-Wave just because if he did decide to stay in, I got up a free T-Wave versus Shifu. But he decided to go Executor here. So I'm not really sure what this Executor wanted to do, but I knew that its only real coverage for King Gambit was the likes of like Low Kick or Earthquake. And clicking that versus Quillfish that could also threaten you with a poison move or set up spikes, it just didn't seem likely. So I decided to use my King Gambit here as he reveals to be Choice Specs Leaf Storm. And I'm like, geez, that does so much damage, bro. I wasn't familiar with Executor's game because that did 10 million. I'm like max HP King Gambit, and thank goodness I'm leftovers because that did a ton. But anyways, at this moment I know that he's pretty much forced out here. Like he can't really do much, and I know he's Choice Spec, so I decided to double out into Dragapult, expecting him to go Gliscor, as he then decides to go Cinderace. He ends up clicking U-turn with Cinderace on my Quillfish switch-in and brings right back in the Executor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this mon is such a threat. Like I basically have to choose which mon I want to sack because I can't really go out to my King Gambit, otherwise it's essentially dead at being at around like, I don't know, 25% once I get those lefties back. So I decided that my best play is really just to get up a spike here. Either get up a spike or click Gunk Shot, just to get some mileage out of Quillfish before it's too late and to not sacrifice one of my more crucial pieces here. So I decided to just get up a spike as I fortunately get a para on him, which is works out really nice for me. I then decided to click Gunk Shot and I miss. However, he ends up getting paralyzed again. So thank goodness for para, yellow color coming through. He does end up getting that Leaf Storm kill on me, but I've gotten up a spike. I've gotten this Executor to 12%, so it's going to die from the spike. So this is really good for me. So I go to my Dragapult, click U-turn on his Gliscor switch-in. I bring in my Ice Cube. I didn't think that he would elect to stay in versus Ice Cube, but it's whatever. He breaks my my Ice Face. However, I get off a freeze dry on Cinderace and then click Hydro Pump after. The reason why I went for a Hydro Pump, even though he could definitely kill me with Pyro Ball here, was just because I figured that he either would decide to go for U-turn or he would decide to go for Court Change, and I didn't want him to do that for free, so I thought that clicking a Hydro Pump was best. He ends up clicking Will-O-Wisp, which is fine by me. Here I'm able to just click Hydro Pump again. I miss versus Fezandipity, but that's okay. I then just decided to go for the flip turn, get some momentum, and bring back out my King Gambit because I know Fezandipity can't really do much to me as he reveals to be Double Kick. And now, during prep, I knew that Fezandipity had Technician, but I went to go and look at what moves it actually gets to benefit Technician. I was like, bro, this mon gets nothing. Like, this mon's trash. However, I must have missed the Double Kick because when I saw Double Kick come out, I was like, oh shit, bro. Like, I was like, no way, he's finna Double Kick me, bro. But as you can see, this damage is straight pitiful. He did a combo of 31%. That joint is trash. Like, this mon is garbage. Anyways, he decides to just sack Executor here, as I ended up clicking Terra. And I ended up swapping out my King Gambit versus his Shifu here. As he then clicks Poison Jab, I decided to just sack off my Ice Cube, since it wasn't really that important anyways. But him clicking Poison Jab was pretty good for me, because I'm going to be able to get off 2 Rocky Helmet chips plus freeze dry damage. So this Shifu is essentially dead. And he didn't decide to Terra it either. So this is really good for me. I go off to my Dragapult. I knew that he was Scarf, because he he got off that Scarf Poison Jab right here. So Dragapult U-turn is free. Click U-turn versus Gliscor switch in, and I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be my best time to get some pressure up with Azu. So he actually decides to be Sunny Day. I guess this is specifically for Azu, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I guess it's also for Ninetales as well, to change the weather if I got out Ninetales, just to stop my Veil, which is, I mean, that's pretty cool tech from him. But I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. Like, I got a defense drop, plus his Gliscor can't really do much to me. I actually decided to swap out into Dragapult, because I thought, you know, this funky Gliscor set, he could be packing Gunk Shot, which is a new move that Gliscor got. And I was like, I really don't want to take a Gunk Shot if I don't have to. So I was like, let me just scout with Dragapult real quick. He actually just clicks Earthquake. I decided to just fire off some Hexes. I'm kind of fine with Dragapult taking this chip, just because he doesn't have Palafin changed yet. And I'm looking at a pretty advantageous position anyway. So I decided to just get off this burn versus Pheasantipity, just because I figured that he was definitely you know, some type of physical set rocking double kick. So I decided to you know, just stay in with Dragapult, get off that burn, you know, live this pitiful beat up, get off some Hex chip as he decides to U-turn kill me. And then he gets in Palafin to get his 0 to hero form. So I'm like, all right, well, this is perfect opportunity, right? Like, I can easily get up by Belly Drum, because Palafin can't do anything to me. So I get off my Belly Drum, get my Citrus Berry back, and I mean, here Azu looks so dangerous. I just kill him with Aqua Jet. He goes out to Palafin again, and I'm like, well, okay, well, Palafin can't kill me with anything, like, at all. So I'm gonna get another kill here. I decided to click Liquidation, since it would kill Palafin if he stayed in. I get that kill on Shifu, and now he has 2 mons left of being Palafin and Cinderace. He then clicks Wave Crash, still doesn't kill Azu, and then I get that other kill with Liquidation. So as you can see, you know, him just electing to choose to get 0 to hero Palafin at the time he did basically just gave my Azu free setup, and Azu's able to take the dub right there. So very nice win. Didn't even really use King Gambit here or Thundy T, which is, I mean, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, definitely a little bit unfortunate on his side that he got parried, you know, twice in a row. But I think it is what it is. Like, I mean, hacks all comes around. I also kind of missed Gunk Shot on that turn too. So I mean, and that's kind of why you click para anyways. So anyways, we got the dub, came back. As you can see, the new changes are definitely coming through, and I'm happy that we are able to bounce back from that bad week 1. So thank you all for watching. Hopefully we continue this streak of success, and yeah, things are only up from here with these new changes. So yeah, again, thank you for watching. I'll catch you for the week 3 battle next Thursday. All right, everyone have a good day. Peace out.